Ashes of Creation just finished the September live stream going over events. And I guess I'll just start with the biggest news that came out of it. The Alpha 2 is in 2024. Now, I know I recently did a video saying Alpha 2 could be in 2025. I didn't really say that it would be in 2025, just that it's possible based on how far away the game seems to be from being playable as a whole. However, when you think about it, Alpha 2 at the start is not going to be anything close to what it's going to be like at the end. At the beginning, we're not going to have naval. We're only having a few zones, anywhere from 1 to 3 would be my guess, and they're going to add more zones later. There's going to be a lot of systems missing at the beginning, which is fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. I'd love to get in there and play now if I could, but obviously I can't. So, and they did say that the reason they put that date out is to squash some of the rumors and stuff that have been going around. So anyways, I'm really glad that we're getting Alpha 2 next year. That's a great thing. Talking about the actual event live stream, well, it was a wave event. And if you've played MMOs at all, you've probably done some sort of wave type event, whether it was a quest or an actual event. Now in Rift, you had kind of waves where you'd kill the first set of mobs, new mobs would spawn that were harder, so on and so forth. New World had a Rift system that was just like that. And even if you go back to the original originator of events in MMOs, Warhammer Online, it was like 3 phases. They called theirs public quests. So events have been around for a long time. They're not a new thing. And the thing with events, they're just kind of basically quests, like public quests as Warhammer Online called them, you know, where anyone in the world can participate in them as a group. And I've always kind of liked events in MMOs. I think they change things up in the world. Like in Rift, for instance, that was a quest hub style game. You go gather a bunch of quests, you finish them, turn them all in, and over time that gets boring as you're leveling. So to have an event pop up, the Rift would pop up, and that gives you something different to do. Of course, you need other players in the area to complete them, and so in that case, what you need is rewards that encourage people to actually go do the event. And in Rift, I remember getting in groups that's what we did. We ran around and we killed rifts, and I found that much more enjoyable than just the quest hub linear progression that you see in all these theme parks now. That style of leveling, I am so over that style of leveling, and I'm glad Ashes is not going to have quest hubs. I'm so tired of quest hubs and just a linear go A to B to C, then go X, Y, Z, and then you're just linear through every single zone. And that has gotten so stale and so old. Ashes gets rid of that. There are no quest hubs. And I, for one, am super excited about that. And events are some of the things you need in a game. You're going to need a lot of events if you do not have quest hubs. And again, the event was fairly standard. It was just a wave style event. Basically, the event was called Defend the Damaged Caravan. They kind of hinted at one point that it might be something where there are these automated caravans, these NPC caravans that we know about, right? That go from node to node based on trade agreements and things like that. And so I kind of get the idea that once this is actually fleshed out, this will actually be an actual caravan that does get destroyed. I kind of think it might be like that. I'm not sure it'll just be in that same static location every time, but maybe in that general area where these bandits come and attack this automated caravan if you don't deal with it or if you don't escort it. And again, it was a wave event. I think it was the 2nd or 3rd wave. There was a boss and you killed the boss, Corvin the Crusher, and you got rewards. Fairly standard event type stuff. When you went into the event, you were instantly put into a group. One interesting thing is the events do scale based on the number of players doing the event. And most event type systems in MMOs, at least modern MMOs, have done this. With Ashes, I wasn't sure if they were going to do this because a lot of times they have said they don't want to scale a lot of things. World bosses, for instance, are not going to scale based on player level, other things like that. But these will scale in intensity based on the number of players in the event, which I think is a very, very good idea, so you're not just zerging these events, because otherwise what you have is just big groups of people going around zerging every single event on the map, because that could end up being optimal if they do that. They did mention that rewards for the events are based on your time in the event currently, but eventually it'll be more contribution based, which again is basically how every other MMO has done it. And you can fail events. Again, this isn't huge. A lot of MMOs you could fail events, But what they did say is it will contribute to the World State Tracker, which can trigger story arcs and no day trophy type events. They did say events will have cooldowns. You can't spawn them over and over again. And we've seen this before. Now, if you've played other MMOs, you've seen like where an event that bugs out and it just spawns constantly, and then people just sit there and farm that event, and it ends up being kind of a broken mechanic. Hopefully, you know, none of those things kind of show up, but those things always tend to show up in new MMO type launches, some bugged event that people farm and get way ahead by doing so. They did kind of talk about PvP events as well. We know there's going to be caravans, which are almost kind of like a PvP event, but they hinted at something maybe more than that. So interested to see a PvP event for sure. And again, events are a little bit like quests. There's only so many ways you can do it, and I think people wanted to see some breathtaking new mechanic for events, but it's just like quests where it's basically kill, collect, escort, defend, those sort of things. You know, sometimes I've seen events where they're like a puzzle based or even like a jumping puzzle, and I've even seen like races for events, and I'd love to see like races in Ashes because the mount system is very complex in Ashes, and we know the mounts will have different speeds, so that would be kind of interesting to have some events. You could even have water-based races as well, obviously, because there's aquatic mounts and aquatic ships, so those would all be kind of unique things to change it up from just the standard kill, collect, escort, defend that you see over and over again with quests and events. And then at the very end of the stream, Steven was asked by the chat for a hint, and he wrote rivers on a piece of paper and put it up to his webcam. What that means, I don't know what that could mean. Fishing? And then they had the Q&A at the end, and actually I thought the Q&A had some interesting stuff in it. I'm not gonna go and break down the Q&A for you guys, but if you get a chance, go check out the Q&A section. There was some interesting questions and answers, I thought. And that's it, guys. I do have a video coming out on Sunday. I did a bunch of videos a couple weeks ago because I wanted to get videos posted for you guys because I've been busy the last 2 weeks playing another MMO that I've covered on this channel before, and you guys probably know which MMO that is. And when I can actually talk about that MMO, I will do so. As for Ashes content, that might be the last Ashes video you see from me for quite some time because I think I'm gonna wait until they do the quarter announcement for Alpha 2. They did mention, and I'm not sure if I said this yet, but they did mention for the next time they talk about Alpha 2 in terms of dates, they will give a quarter. So when that might be, who knows? My guess, maybe I'm pessimistic, but Q3 or Q4 would be where I would guess Alpha 2 would be. So I think I'm gonna wind down on the speculative type videos for Ashes. I think I've covered almost everything you can cover. I do have a few more ideas on my list, so maybe I'll do a few more, but I think this video coming up Sunday, it could be the last one until we get that much more closer Alpha 2 date, because it's just really hard to grow right now. The hype is gone for Ashes of Creation. So look for the one on Sunday. And then after that, it's going to be kind of news only, I think, for Ashes of Creation, and basically all the MMOs that I cover. I think I'm going to go to news only, so you may not see a lot of videos from me going forward. With that said, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you Sunday in my final Ashes speculative video. See you guys.